The two best moments of restoring old motorcycles are finishing up a project and starting a new one. Now, as you guys can see right here in the restoration shop at Wheels, we've got an absolute ton of projects going on. Hill climbers, knuckleheads, future raffle bikes. As you can see, nothing's getting finished anytime soon, so we figured, what the heck? Let's start another project. So in front of us, guys, ultra cool bike, incredibly rare bike. You guys know we're into the rare stuff. 1942 Harley-Davidson TT racing knucklehead. So in the 1930s, you see this movement away from factory employed racers, factory team racers, and you see this privateer racing come up is really what would propel the sport through the AMA competitions and, all the way up through the current day almost. 45 cubic inch was the big displacement class, or the displacement class, the most popular one. It was what your dirt track racing was. There were hill climb classes, there were TT classes for those 45 cubic inch machines. As far as production goes, that's what dominated. Indians and Harley-Davidsons, which were your two American companies at the time, produced a pretty fair amount of 45 cubic inch racers. What they didn't make a lot of were this. This is an 80 cubic inch overhead valve knucklehead TT racing setup. So incredibly rare engine. I'm going to tell you guys all about it, and really what the purpose of today is. As you guys can see, this bike comes in, it's probably about 70% complete. We've got some stuff to finish on it, but when I got this bike, it hadn't been into, and I can't tell you how long. So our goal today is to yank this motor out and take it apart. Now it spins over, it's got good compression. I pulled the air cleaner off, and the inside of the carburetor looks fresh. It doesn't even look like it was really ever run, potentially. Now the motor's grimy and dirty on the outside, so we don't know what the scenario is. But when we're looking at the rest of the bike, this thing is set up for racing, stripped about as bare bones as you can make it. It's got the short rear fender. These would have been full hinged fenders on the road models. Common deal was to shorten the fender. This bike actually has a short, this is a factory part, a short TT racing oil tank. So standard oil tank this time, guys, you're looking, you can see the difference. It's a big, tall oil tank. This one is made short by the Harley-Davidson factory, and there's some things you got to do to the frame to even be able to run this. So really cool short tank. What the short tank allowed, I know some of you guys are probably thinking, race bike, you want more oil capacity. Well, there's always trade-offs. These races are short enough races, 10, 25, maybe 50-mile races. Short oil tank, you got a little bit less oil, but what you can do when you have the shortened tank and it's still mounted up high, you can raise the transmission. So by raising the transmission, you get that primary drive over on the other side up off the ground, and it makes good turn clearance. So some of the other cool things, ultra cool Firestone. I think this is a Firestone. Firestone racing tire. It's called a safety lock cord, Firestone Deluxe Champion. Rib, these are like what they use on Daytona Beach. Ultra cool stuff. Bike still has brakes, front and rear. It's not a flat track bike. So front and rear brakes, TT racing. You've got elevation changes, left and right hand turns, maybe a jump, maybe a couple jumps. This one's been set up with the shock up front. Now this is kind of cool. It's in a 47 chassis is what I noticed. This is a bull neck frame. As you guys can see, it's got that 47 speedball decal. Speedball emblem on there. One of the neat things about this bike, and not knowing a lot of history about it, I'm going to have to start digging. We've got a WR upstairs with the exact same paint scheme as this bike. So I don't know if this bike may have been a sister bike to that. The other bike was out of Virginia. Like I said, this one, it's been here about 6 months, and if we can dig a little bit more into the history, who knows what we're going to find. Really cool Flanders racing bars. These are zero bend. There's a number way up under there that you probably can't see, Steve. But Flanders, there's zero bend. The Flanders their different handlebars were done by numbers. So you got 0s, you got 1s, you got 10s, you got 13s, you got number 8s. These very, very cool, sporty. You bought a 3.5-inch riser. Really cool old TT WR style racing seat. This thing was somebody's pride and joy. All things said, though, this bike actually looks like it would go together really easy. The whole drive side needs redone. We got a broken tank tab here. I've got some spare newly made replacement tabs. I can probably weld something back together. Steve, you want to help me get this motor out real quick?
Yeah.
Yep. There we go. Okay. Looky there, it's had a motor mount repaired. Bunch of goopy aluminum on there. These plug wires are probably shot, or that plug wire. Kill switch. So this is the fun part, guys. Getting to break into what appears to be, it's either old rebuilt or it's not been into a Harley-Davidson racing engine. And one that you don't see a ton of, guys. We're talking, heck, maybe there's there's 2 motors like this similar inside the museum. One's a Harley-Davidson knucklehead, and then you guys just saw the TT panhead that we do the burnouts on. Same thing, it's got that racing big twin engine. This is before they figured out lighter's better. It's going to be fun to crack into. And it's always a learning experience when you're dealing with 80-year-old stuff that was modified to go fast. So first things first, we got our carburetor. We're just going to pull the whole manifold off. That'll give us an idea of the porting. Whoo, that sucker's on there. So let's... There it goes. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh man, what a snug fit that is. Holy cow. Okay. Carburetor, it's had the number polished off like they were pulling something secret. There's no choke plate, which is really interesting. They've got this locked down. The inside of the carburetors had the step polished out there, so that opens up the throat of the carburetor. Big Venturi. Would be cool to take this apart and see what the main nozzle looks like. That's a project for later on. So, oh my goodness. Oh. Polished intake ports. Look at that. Wow. And if I'm not mistaken, that looks like a big intake valve. That looks like a huge intake valve. See, this out here is normally all as cast. Same finish on the inside that it is here on the outside. This has been worked over. The seats have been relieved on the back side of the seats. Faster the air gets in and out, the faster these motors go. So, all right, a little bit more of the magic stuff on our base nuts, and we're going to get these cylinders off. So next we've got magneto cover coming off. This is going to expose the points. This is cool, exciting stuff, guys. These Wyco mags, they used them from maybe the late 40s into the 1950s before they went to, I believe, a Fairbanks mag on the KRs. So really cool stuff. This magneto, we'll show you guys here in a bit. This mag, which provides the spark to the engine, is actually chain driven. It's driven with a chain instead of gears on the inside. So that looks real nice. The cap's beautiful inside. Wow. Okay, so let's pull the rotor off. That looks like a brand new mag inside. Okay, now we can start ripping into it and see what's inside of this sucker. Show me what you're working with. Oh man, look at those polished rods, dude. Oh man, whoa, yes. Little bit of carbon on the piston. Little bit of carbon on the piston. Those look like short pistons too. I bet it's an 80. Ooh, yes, this is my favorite part. 3-piece oil ring, short little squatty piston. The dome looks kind of like it might have been a low compression 74 piston that with the extra stroke, a standard compression would have been way too high a compression if they even could have fit it. So, and it actually looks like this has kind of been worked on. You can see, guys, check this out, 20 over on the piston. Yeah, they've worked this piston over, sanded the cast finish off the top. Polished connecting rods, and I don't feel any up and down on that one. Oh, good stuff. And the next one's the one that tells the truth, though. It's the female rod, and you tend to feel a little bit more wear on the female rod. Okay, ready? And here she comes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, looky there. Push rods. Wow. Wow. Looking at the insides of the pistons, or looking at the insides of the cylinders. What do we got? Oh God, look at the size of that intake valve. The one over there on the right, dude. Holy smokes, that sucker's huge. So big valve, ported. Looks like there's a little bit of wear, but the finish on these cylinders is really nice. I don't even know if I run a fine hone through it. Who knows? Maybe I'll pull those cylinders off the heads, separate the two. Wow, amazing. So ultra cool Harley rods. Oh man, it's like perfect, dude. It's like perfect. This motor has, I'm telling you, it's so low hours. Double light flywheels. It's got the crank pin way up at the top. If you come over to our 41 engine, now I know you guys have been probably watching the 41 restoration. This is the Cruiser Green job. See how tight these flywheels are up against the bottom of the bore? Okay, 74 cubic inch flywheels. Now, it's not the diameter of the flywheel that makes the difference, it's the location of that pin. So you see the pin, there's a full, you've got a little over an inch there. Over on this engine, there's more of a distance between the case and the flywheel itself. Now, the 80 cubic inch flywheels were actually smaller diameter. The pin was further out, and as you can see, there's less than a half an inch to the actual edge of the flywheel. So I would go ahead and say that's probably an 80-inch crank. I don't think there's anything else that it could be. So guys, we're looking really good so far. So pistons, and you can see how these pistons have been cut down from a standard size piston, just the height of the piston. And the reason is, with that extra stroke, you come higher in the cylinder and you go further down into the bore of the cases. So they've cut, geez, that's a solid, that's a 3/8 of an inch off the bottom of the piston. Guys, this is what it's all about. Real Harley-Davidson racing tricks getting opened up and seen for the first time right here at Wheels Through Time. So like I said, those pistons, they really look great. Little bit of scuffage here. There's not a lot of texture to it, so memory cloth will take that right out. As fresh as this is, I bet the bore of the cylinders is just a few thousandths more than the pistons. Now we get to check the cam out. So we've got to take the cam cover off. So right now, I'm convinced we can leave these cases together. There's no up and down on the sprocket shaft. There's no up and down on the rods. Side play on the connecting rods is like to factory spec. Whoever put this engine back together absolutely knew what they were doing. You know, it's cool stuff, guys. You see, we get excited about this because we're cracking open race secrets from 70, 80 years ago, and we know a lot now about this stuff. You know, we have 70 more years of experience and knowledge build up that guys today, when it comes to speed, can learn. These guys back in this time, they were making it happen for the first time, which is really interesting stuff. But on top of that, I mean, this is what these guys did every day. Here at the museum, we're all wearing a lot of hats. The shop stuff right here in the restoration shop is just a portion of all the things that goes on here at the museum. So for us guys that don't do this every single day, cracking open engines for the first time. Exciting stuff. Here we go. Oh, oh man. All the light stuff, guys. How freaking cool is this? So, Harley-Davidson normal stuff you're looking at, guys. This is a cam. This, excuse me, that's an idler gear. Let's go for a timing gear. This is a timing gear. As you guys can see, this has got all the light stuff. This is an actual racing part. It's got the sprocket on the back. This is a lightning shaft. Look, it says S80. That could be a factory 80-inch cam. Seriously could. That is so cool. Let's take it out. Okay, and now guys, the trickest of trick is the chain here. Okay, this chain is what it's all about. Okay, this is you can see, let's spin it over. So normally there's a series of gears that run that magneto or run a generator out there. There's a worm gear back here that actually runs the timer. What they've done here is machine this whole surface down. The boss that holds the idler gear, specially machined the 3 holes there to fasten the Wyco magneto, special strap. The other side of the case is specially machined. This is really cool. So the magneto spins counterclockwise. Unbelievable. This motor is gonna absolutely rock. Look, you can see that it's got a diamond chain. This chain's a little loose. I think I'm gonna wanna rotate that magneto just a little bit. You can see these holes are slotted, so we can pull that magneto out just a little bit further. Oh man, this is amazing. So, moment of truth right here. Let's pull this cam out and see what she looks like. This is the real moto nerd stuff, guys. Doesn't get much better. Yep. All right. So, this is the early style cam. And what they've done is shave down the base circle here. Wow, and they put a little bit of hook to it. So cam lobes, this is what I mean, this is like a torque cam is how I'd kind of look at it. So it's not big, crazy long duration, but it's high lift, okay? You've got kind of skinny lobes here, but what they've done is shave this base circle down so it makes, relatively, it makes your lift taller. We'll at some point when we're putting this thing back together, see what the lift of the actual engine is, guys. But oh man, what a win. Special spacer, all of this stuff. I mean, you're talking, it's like brand new. Doesn't get any better fit than this. See how that moves? That's all your oil pressure right there in the engine. Pinion gear, oil pump gear beside it, spring loaded in between. Yep, we got our special racing magneto gear. Guys, this is everything I could have hoped for. Pull the breather out. Make sure there's no, oh God, it's beautiful. No scoring in the breather cavity. Single pump oil like it's supposed to. Man, okay. We're gonna get to cleaning parts up. By the next time you catch up with us, this motor will be back together. We'll be buttoning up this motor, buttoning up this bike, hopefully. Motor installed, primary set up, pour some gas in this sucker, and we're gonna fire it up, guys. Thanks for tuning in on finding out exactly what's inside one of Harley-Davidson's rarest racing engines. We're gonna get back to work. Make sure you guys check out wheelshootime.com. Get you some raffle tickets on the 37 Knucklehead. Tune into more of our videos. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing without you guys. So thanks a ton. I'm gonna get back at it. Awesome, dude. This is perfect. It's like perfect.